Welcome back to Autism Live. We are so lucky because we get to be around Dina Kimmel. She's here joining us live in the studio, and Saturday was the big event. It was the third annual, right?
Rock and Resource Fair, yes. And thanks for having me, Shannon. You know you're my rock star.
No, I always say I want to grow up to be Dina, or at least be like her.
And I say that about you.
Well, you shouldn't, because
Yes.
nobody wants to grow up to be me. But she's amazing. She is an awesome mom. You've got two amazing kids. From my opinion, I'm sure your husband would say this too, that you're an awesome wife. You're a super fabulous friend. You're an outspoken advocate for the autism community, but you are also a leader. You're someone who sees something and says, this is what's needed, and you don't wait for anybody else you just step up and you do. And you did this when one of your children needed a place to get his yayas out. You created this wonderful thing called We Rock the Spectrum. But then years later, as all these We Rock the Spectrum wonderful gyms that you guys have got to check out were sprouting up, you saw another need. And so why did you create the Rock and Resource Fair?
Well, listen, as a brand, as a family, we're supportive of any company, that supports autism awareness. And I might not agree, with everything that they represent, but as long as they're bringing awareness to our community, we will support them.
Yeah.
One, as a family, and two, of course, as a community in the We Rock the Spectrum brand. By the way, thank you for the incredible introduction.
Oh.
I need to introduce you. How do you say that on your show? I need to do an introduction to you. But what happened was, we were part of the, which I still love, their company, Autism Speaks Walk. We were a corporate sponsor for many years. And then, things changed, and they decided not in all of their walks. So I want people to understand out there that we still support, their walks, but just the ones that they don't charge for.
Yeah.
So our family favorite event, was the one in Pasadena.
Yeah.
And then once we got wind that they were charging, then it was $35 per person. And Come on, we're autism parents here. We know that all of our money goes to the therapies and, everything that we need. Not everyone can get the respite through, regional center that we have here.
Yeah.
So I just felt like I couldn't support it any longer. It was very sad, of course, continue to support them, but I couldn't be the corporate sponsor that I could be, or that I was in the future.
You were somebody who was a big corporate sponsor of that.
Yes.
And I want to say too, just in fairness, that this was 3 years ago that this happened. That they had a change in staff, and they made a choice that for that year, that policy has now morphed, and we are going to give somebody an opportunity to come and talk about what their policy is for this year. But in that year, there was a devastating loss for a lot of us.
Yeah.
That a lot of us felt that if everybody couldn't afford to go, then it wasn't something that we could really lift up.
What kind of leader are we, right?
Right.
We're leaders in the autism community, but not all of our fellow brothers and sisters out there could attend. So for us, it was a very big decision, and that's why I wrote a blog about it and decided to announce it publicly so that the public could understand that we're still here. We support them, but we just can't support the walks that charge.
Right, and it wasn't that you were. It wasn't that you were, saying anything about don't go to that one. You were just saying I need to make an event for anyone that is truly inclusive, so that if you don't have money to pay for free information, that people could come to this. So you did the first one.
It was also the vendor booths. I want you to understand the vendor booths, prices went up.
Oh yeah.
And so all of a sudden it went from them having hundreds of resource vendors to like a quarter of that.
Yeah.
So for us, with our Rock and Resource Fair, again, the first one, it was like, okay, let's throw this all together. And we had, less than 500 people there. But it was still, as you saw, I think you went to the first one, right?
The first one I didn't. I was in the middle of a monsoon in Arizona. But I was hearing about it while I was in the monsoon.
That's right.
But it was, I know it was amazing because I saw footage. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was. And I felt, like I said, the vendors themselves, there were so many who couldn't participate as well. So we charged $35. And again, what does that cover? It basically covers the price of the park.
And that's for the vendors, not for the people coming.
Just for the vendors.
For the vendors was $35.
But we're talking the least expensive one was $500 on up to $1,500 just to be a vendor. So many of them, dropped out, and so they were contacting me, and I said, I got to do this, even if it's, so last minute 3 years ago, we put this together, and we had such a huge response in a matter of, less than 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So I said, I have to do it again. And so we did the second one last year, and over
I was
1,100.
there for that. That
over
was
1,100
crazy.
people.
Yeah.
And we really didn't think that this year it would be as big or larger as it was, because it being the holiday weekend. We decided to have an Easter Bunny there this year and take a picture with Easter Bunny.
And we have a picture somewhere of the Easter
Oh
Bunny.
my gosh, so
it was
fabulous.
Adorable.
He was great with our kids, especially our kids on the spectrum. Oh my gosh. He was
There's
really.
your Easter Bunny.
Oh really? Oh my gosh!
He was a good
He was
bunny.
great.
He was amazing.
Great.
It was really
he was
fun.
great. He was such a character. We put him kind of off to the side, not under the tent with the other 50 resource booths, just so kids can have their time and relax and go, okay, I can do this, and not have anyone hovering over them.
Yeah.
But it was incredible because we had almost 1,400 people sign up this year. I thought, oh my gosh, it's not going to be that big. It was larger than last year.
Yeah.
And I feel like every year it gets bigger.
Yep.
There's so much gratitude. I cry the whole time. There's no makeup on at these events because we're all crying together and thanking one another. And I really
there's one of the tents that resource, and you can't even get a scope of the idea. So there were 2 of these very long tents where it was just resource stuff. We went through live on Facebook. If people want to get a feel for it, we went through both. In fact, we went all the way around. We did 3 little things, because first we did an interview with you where the Beat Buds were, and we want to talk about them.
They were great, yes.
And then we went through all the vendors. And I think when we did the Beat Buds, we went around to the reptile tent.
Oh my gosh! Did you see that boa? The Britney Spears snake we call it, right? Isn't that like she has uses the boa?
Fully out.
Did you see my son there, Gabriel?
Oh my goodness!
Gosh.
Well, the kids were just loving it. There were crazy lizards and things. There was the coolest frog that looked like it was something right out of I don't know, a Grimm's fairy tale thing. That frog, seriously, I was waiting for it to turn into a prince.
Did your son
Disney? Disney.
Did your son go over? Does he like the?
Well, yes, he was doing my camera work with me.
I saw that. He was so great.
Yeah, until he ditched me. But that's a whole other conversation, right? But there were so many things. So we went around, and then we did just the food trucks because there was so much to see and do. It was a big. There was something for everybody. There were people of all ages that were there.
It was amazing.
It was so inclusive. And one of the things I kept commenting on was so the Beat Buds were there, and they were playing music, and we got to talk a little bit about them because they were really fabulous and interactive, and the kids were loving them.
Well, it's an interesting story there.
Yeah.
But as you saw, you went to the 5 zones. So we have 5 zones for parents and kiddos to understand that they can, again, take in it all, but just, step by step. So there's the music zone where the Beat Buds were, and Orlando was incredible on the drums. I don't know if you saw him as well.
But it wasn't so overwhelmingly loud.
Exactly.
That was the thing. If you wanted to get away from, and even when you were standing right next to it, my teeth weren't vibrating, which I got to say thank you. Because a lot of times you go to one of the, they're like, autism fair, bong, bong, bong.
And
you go, woo.
Right? And our
well,
kids
I'm
are like,
there
oh my gosh.
doing that.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, the music zone, you saw the arts and crafts zone, the food zone. We had, 6 amazing different companies come and have food for everyone. And then we have the calming zone.
Yes.
And then the sensory zone with the great We Rock on Wheels. The longs, you see the new big bus
in fact,
that we
have a picture of the bus somewhere.
Oh, really? It was,
yes.
Yeah, it was amazing.
We have a couple of pictures, I think,
There was
of the bus.
at least 100 kids there at all times.
So that's showing from the back end, so you can see the zip line and the rock climbing wall inside the bus. But I think there's another picture, Traven. Yeah, there's amazing.
Yeah, the bus was packed full of kids, and I think there was 15 to 20 kids on the bus at the time. But literally, just kids coming, through and through the sensory zone was incredible. And then the calming zone, and I walked over there, at one point on Saturday, and I saw this teenager in the hammock swing. We brought a hammock swing this time, and the mom was so grateful, and I was like, of course, that's why it's here.
Yeah.
But it was, like I said, every year it gets better. And we take up all of Woodley Park 2. So, viewers out there can get an idea how big this is. All of Woodley Park 2, this fair takes place of. It's the tents, but then the different zones, we spread them out.
Yeah.
Again, understanding and realizing when we would go to these events in the past that there was a lot of overload, a lot of kids, melting down. So I just...
And you had an egg hunt?
We had, this year was the egg hunt, and I'll tell you, we're going to do it every year because the kiddos don't want to walk. right? We realized that. We're gonna call it the Rock and Resource Fair, but let's try and do a walk. This was last year.
Right.
They didn't want to walk.
Right.
Like, you know what, let's do an Easter egg hunt.
Yeah.
So we laid the eggs all across the walking area, which is,
Right.
maybe 3K. And oh my gosh, we have video footage, and it was just hundreds of kids swarming to the eggs. What did they do? They then went back to the Easter bunny table and turned in their eggs, got the candy. Just seeing these kids, it was amazing. Putting those tasks, in their head. Okay, first get the Easter eggs,
Right.
then go to the Easter bunny, wait in line, and seeing all of them process this and enjoying it with laughter and love, and the parents, the gratitude, because most of our kiddos, especially in the early years, they can't attend events like these. They can't.
Yeah.
And I feel, really so grateful that we've been able to create this. We had the headphones for kiddos
Yes.
and the calming zone. Parents were reaching out where to get them. I love being the resource for the community. That's my fuel, just like you.
It was
right?
wonderful. And what was super fun for me was that we ran into some of the families that come to Sensitive Santa.
Oh, great, you did. Oh,
We
that's
did,
great.
and so that was super cool. And yeah, that was an added little thing for me that I was like,
yes, I love that.
I know these families, but there were so many people there.
There were, but it didn't feel like that. At one point, matter of fact, I went to the front, and my sister Melissa, who's our on and compliance director for We Rock Now, she travels all around the world, making sure all the gyms are looking clean and spiffy. I said, so how many people do we have in? She's like, Dina, don't worry about it. We've got over 1,000 people here. I'm like, really? Because how it's set up, it never felt congested.
No, it never felt congested, but there
Yeah.
were a lot of people, and I didn't see a single kid having a meltdown.
No, you know what? I'm glad you said that, because neither did I. I was thinking about that and talking with the team this morning and said, wow, thank you. Listen, it takes a village. It's my whole team. I can't put on this event without.
And we have a picture of some of your team somewhere in there, Traven, if you can find just some of your team there.
Oh, yes. There is Grace, my project manager, and Tyler, who's now recently been promoted as a project manager. And I think Dana Agassi.
Yes.
She has her own gym in Agora, but she's been working for corporate since I started franchising 5 years ago. And she gets all those amazing donations from My Brother Rocks the Spectrum for all the gyms around the world. Yeah, amazing. And then, of course, we have our creative director. I don't think you have a picture of him yet. And then Shane, it is a family business, is my nephew. He's been working with corporate now for 2 years and travels all around the world, supporting owners, for the tech, the tech side, which I'm not. What makes a good leader is, again, having this village of people,
team,
right?
The right team.
Your producers, your guests that come on. But it was interesting this year, like you said, the music zone. So we had the Beat Buds, and they were, I have to tell you, incredible. I cried. I mean, such a diverse group, that they tend to. Of course, our kiddos on the spectrum. There's my son. He'll be 12 in June. I don't know if you saw him. He did not leave the carpet there watching them.
Your
Loved
son
it.
was amazing. I saw him helping other kids.
Right. Oh, God, isn't it? It's just.
We have the picture of the snake. You do have the picture of the snake?
Oh, God, the snake. Oh, that one is. Look at him! Look at him photobombing in the back. Yes, that's my son photobombing in the back. That is Shane, our tech specialist. He's incredible. Supports all the owners.
You're only seeing part of the snake there, I gotta say,
Yeah,
kids.
it is. I just can't even look at it. I'll be honest with you.
I know, it was fully freaking me out. But we have to tell the Beat Bud story, but maybe we should take a break and come back and tell how they all fit into the scheme of things, because that's a really cool story. So stick with us. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Autism Live. We are here with the fabulous Dina Kimmel from We Rock the Spectrum. And what's the full name? Because I always say We Rock the Spectrum, but there's...
We Rock the Spectrum Kids Gym for all kids.
Kids Gym for all kids. They're amazing. We didn't really talk about this earlier. They're amazing gyms. They're all over the world now. If you don't know where one is close to you, you should Google it right now and see where one is, and you should go to it. They are sensory gyms for everyone. So if you have kiddos that are on the spectrum and you have kiddos that are not on the spectrum, take them all and go to the We Rock. I was at an Easter dinner yesterday, and there were teenagers that were there, and they were like, I love to go to We Rock.
Oh,
It's my favorite place in the world to go.
I love that.
And I said to them, oh, have you been to the We Rock in Glendale? And they were like, no. And I said, you got to go.
Which I'm now owner of, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
And I don't know how that story ended up.
Good.
Okay.
Great ending, yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
All right. But in any case, we went on Saturday to your 3rd annual Rock and Resource Fair. We had such a good time. We did some videos that you guys can look at on Facebook Live, on our page, Facebook. But we've been talking with Dina about it. You had some very special guests there, the Beat Buds. Tell us a little bit, because they were awesome.
Well, I had heard about them. I mean, being a mother and around little kids all the time, I had heard about them. And there was, we have new owners of our Northridge gym. They're now been owners for 6 months. It's Howard and Rebecca Luck. And of course, there's an incredible story behind that, because Howard came and just really begged me to volunteer last year, about 3 months before our second Rock and Resource Fair. I want to be a part of this company. I actually met you, Dina, 4 years ago, and just gave his spiel. I've never had anyone push so hardcore for like a job. It was amazing. And Howard himself and his wife have special needs. Howard was told he should go and bag groceries, and that's all he could do. And this man come in, he's a what's it called, a chocolatier, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he's a chocolatier. He makes his own incredible recipes of chocolate, and that's how he sold me on his first volunteer position. Just came and brought the office chocolates and chocolates. And then, of course, I met his lovely wife, Rebecca, and, from auditory processing to ADHD and all of them, spectrum-like disorders, they both have that combined. Yeah. But they just came in, and we finally looked around as a team. I'm like, how can we say no? Where can we put Howard? Okay, you know what? Let's take Howard to the resource fair. Last year, he worked the resource fair, the sensory bus, literally all day. He was in that bus and stayed for 2 hours and helped us clean up. I'm like, that's it. I've got to give him a position. I said, okay, Howard, come and volunteer at the Tarzana gym. And he did, and he found his gift. I mean, he knew he wanted to support the community. And then came his wife, okay? And his wife, okay, again, wanted to come in and support, and she was working, as a teacher's aide, but she loved it. And I loved seeing the two of them work together in the gym. And then they came up to me and they said, we want to own our own gym. And at the time, the Northridge gym was for sale. And they bought it, incredible, and I just want to put that out there, because I'll cry, but this is a special needs couple.
Yeah.
Owning a business.
That's
owning a We Rock the Spectrum. This is, my chapter isn't closed, but one of my main goals for We Rock was, again, not only to employ adults on the spectrum, speaking of your show earlier, which I loved listening to, but also, this is ownership. They own a We Rock the Spectrum Kids Gym. It was amazing. So,
I'm the client.
Right? Oh, yeah. Oh, the waterworks, I'm going to try and hold them back. But so there I was at their grand reopening and announcing them to the community. And all of a sudden, there comes, Matty, he's one of the founders of the Beat Buds. And he's his partner. They've been friends for 15 years and just started, they did this band together. And all of a sudden, I'm like, what is he doing here? So Rebecca, of Howard and Rebecca of Northridge goes, oh, that's my cousin. I went, oh my gosh, Rebecca, we have to do an event with them. Oh my goodness, this is incredible. So of course, Dina, and I went over there and talked to him about it. He's like, sure, of course, anything to support my cousin. Right. So all of a sudden, the Rock and Resource Fair, here we are, 6 months later, and I asked them to perform, and they did.
Oh, they were amazing.
And it was, okay, don't cry, because now I'm going to start crying.
No, it's a very exciting thing for me.
Right?
Because a lot of times people have ideas, but they don't know how to implement. But Dina knows how to implement.
Not all ideas, but this is definitely.
I mean, look at all the things that you've accomplished. I mean, there was a day when there wasn't a We Rock gym anywhere, and you went, okay, we're going to have to do that. And then you realized, okay, there have to be more of them, and then it was, you came in one day and said, we're going to take this worldwide, and I was like, okay, but then where are you going on Saturday?
I'm going to Dubai and then off to Australia. We have a gym opening up in Egypt, and in the last 6 months, we have now 5 gyms in Australia have boarded. So to meet all of those owners, but I am so proud. I couldn't be more proud, and I'm looking forward to times ahead now, that I've got this incredible team at corporate. I'm able to sit back and really just delegate and support the owners as best as I can and continue to spread this word.
Yeah.
I mean, the Beat Buds were incredible. I saw, speaking of seeing people, I saw all my friends from my Tarzana We Rock, which is our flagship gym, sitting there listening, and kiddos that I, really would never have thought they'd be able to handle the music. But exactly for what you said, the music was not too loud. What did they do? They integrated, tambourines, music. Yeah. They talk a lot to the kids. And my son, he was the first, raising his hand. I know. I mean, it was just, and I was showing them, I go, look at this. You've got your little 3-4-year-olds, and then you got your 12-year-olds who are loving it. Yeah. So really, they really, truly are a kid sensation. I couldn't be more blessed that they were able to perform. Speaking of blessed, I just got this. I was telling you, as a late birthday present, and I said I have to put this on. I have to put this on this morning because this is really how I feel every day. This is a labor of love. What we do, you know, it really is. But I'm so proud of the adult part. If you open up LA Parent Magazine, the April edition, it's called the inclusive. You're talking about adaptive skills, and that's what their focus is also. So I'm so thrilled and honored to be on the show today because that's really what they were pushing, and now you tying that in. So if you open it up, there's a 2-page article on the Lux on Howard and Rebecca, and it talks about how everyone told him he would not be able to do what he's doing today. And I even cried, my own words. I'm reading the article, and that's when you know it's real, right? I'm crying at my own quote that I did because I said Howard and Rebecca, truly they complete my puzzle. They do. I mean, as an autism parent, we're so, oh my gosh, is our son or is our daughter going to be independent? Will they be able to have a job? Will someone give them that chance? I had to be the first. I had to be the first for them. And they give the rest of our community hope. They do.
But this is why I applaud you because, you implement. No one can, you better not deny that because you implement and you lead the way. I started this conversation by saying that you're a leader in the community, and you are. You are always looking at what else needs to be done. There's another portion, I don't know if you want to talk about it here, about things that you're doing with your company because you're trying to also help families that near and far. So you had some great T-shirts there about a newer project that you do. Do you want to talk about that, or is
My Brother Rocks the Spectrum shirts?
Well, no,
Rockin' the Spectrum.
Rockin' the Spectrum, but we should talk about My Brother Rocks the Spectrum too, because I think that people think it's just a gym situation, and Dina's got a lot more than that going on.
Well, I tell my owners and the public, We Rock the Spectrum starts in the gym. But really how it continues is through our nonprofit, My Brother Rocks the Spectrum Foundation, which I started in honor of my daughter and for families that I saw who couldn't even afford the $12 entry price. Even though that equipment, it costs $150 an hour for using it privately. Our We Rock the Spectrums are anywhere from $10 to $16 depending on the location. Still, some families couldn't afford it. And it broke my heart. So hence how we started the nonprofit part. And then, of course, as you said, it continues. Now we're helping families, the Rock and Resource Fair. The nonprofit funds that event. I mean, so we had incredible donations from everywhere, around. The nonprofit was just on a great little, I guess, a telenews piece, for a college, Rowan University.
Oh, wonderful.
University, their filming department, they did a telethon for My Brother Rocks. And they had all of these different stations, like 10 different ones. These newscasters saying, oh my gosh, donate to My Brother Rocks the Spectrum. As you can imagine, the floodgates poured down, and that was one of my moments where I was able to sit back, Shannon, and go, oh my gosh,
look that.
What we've become. Look what we've become, right? But yes, Rocking the Spectrum is my new baby.
So what do you want to tell us about that?
Well, Rocking the Spectrum is something that I always wish that I had, and I'm sure you will say the same. And that was one place that we could go to find all of the resources. And, I'd joke because, of course, I was always an entrepreneur in my life. I think I owned clothing stores before doing the gyms. But then you have a child on the spectrum and your whole life changes, right? So I used to watch Tony Robbins. I used to be like, God, he's so inspiring, and I loved it. I used to listen to his tapes, read his books, and his always about positive affirmations. And listen, life happens. We have health issues. We have our children, marriage, everything, friends, and to remain positive is the most important part of this piece. And I didn't have that place to go to. One place for resources. So we have a library now on Rocking the Spectrum of now, over, I think, 60 videos. We've just started. And there's a free, complimentary part where you can come and access, 6 videos online, a monthly newsletter, and then it's $9.99 a month, and you get unlimited videos, unlimited usage for the research library. And that's what I'm continuing to add to. It's behaviors, it's food and nutrition, whatever is literally, there's a video from A to Z. There's a video in every single letter, and I'm very proud of it. I don't write.
You should be.
I mean, I interviewed you, on...
and it was great. It was so much fun.
It was incredible. So please, go on and watch Shannon. She's incredible. I got to hear your story be told. And of course, we both cried. And
yes, we both cried.
It was amazing. But I've heard such, incredible response already. I think, I had a very difficult year last year with my health. And so I really didn't do the complete launch of it as I wanted to because I had to stop filming for 5 months to, take care of me, which is a big part. I want to tell all of you out there, if you can't take care of yourself, then you can't be there and be the support for your
You
children.
got nothing to give if
No,
you're not
nothing.
taking
I
care
think
of
you and I
yourself.
have both learned that because,
Well, I'm still
first.
learning it.
well, so am I. It's a
Right?
continuing,
It's a daily
continuing
thing, yeah.
But there's Mama D's Motivational Minutes.
Love
If you
it.
go on our Facebook group, which everyone is open to in the public, it's every day Mama D's Motivational Minutes, and it's 60 seconds. It's going to get you going. And, it also just lets you, really what I'm trying to teach families in the community is to be able to feel what you feel.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be positive today, that's okay.
Yes.
Take your moment. But then you know what? You got to turn it around for yourself and for your family. And I really talk a lot about nurturing, which I think you and I have spoke about, and that is our marriages, right?
Yes.
Our husbands, our wives, our significant others. If you don't nurture that relationship first, how can you both be on the same page together? So I've gotten a great, huge response, okay? And now I'm
sure.
traveling this weekend to Dubai and to Australia to also promote
crazy.
Rocking the Spectrum. And I'm like a soldier at war, my friend. People ask, well, Dina, you're not feeling well. You're going to slow down? I said, do you tell a soldier who's fighting for his country to slow down? No, you don't. And that's truly how I feel about our mission.
But you look like you feel good right now.
I feel
and I'm
so
glad
oh my
for
gosh,
that.
I
I'm
am.
grateful.
I haven't felt this good in 5 years.
Yeah, well, and your hair is fabulous, darling. You look
Oh
marvelous.
gosh, oh my goodness. I'm like I said, this birthday, I just turned 49 a couple months ago. And I opened up really to the world, and I let them in a little bit on what my quiet, suffering with my Crohn's disease. I'm very open about it. My son Gabriel with autism has it as well as my daughter. And that is, to appreciate every single day.
Yeah.
Appreciate every single day.
Ain't it
As
the
you
truth?
often say, I've heard on your show, celebrate your child's, gifts every day that he gives you, not the ones that you wish he had.
Exactly.
Stay in the moment. So
Yeah.
that's what I continue
And
to
then
do.
good things come to pass, and many good things
Absolutely.
have come to pass. It was fabulous to see your son, who has turned into this young man.
Can you believe how tall he is?
No, it hurts my feelings.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
it's weird because everybody will say to me, because my son has sprouted and is very tall, and people go, he's a man now, and I'm like, yeah, well, that happens because we see them every day, right? But you measure time by other people's children. Don't you
Right?
feel like
Yeah,
that's
of
true?
course,
You look at it and you go,
course.
oh my goodness, and to see him running around, and he was being so helpful. He was finding little kids and helping them with whatever they needed. He was such a light on Saturday.
He's always been a light.
Well, of
Both of my
course.
children are a light, but what people don't understand is, and I still get it. I don't know about you. Oh, I'm so sorry, your son has autism.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, what do you mean? If my son didn't have autism, I wouldn't be helping
Right.
hundreds of thousands of people across
Right.
the world. Thank God, he's
Yeah,
made me
we're
a better.
way past
Yeah,
that.
we're way past that. He's made me a better person. As
Right.
well as my husband, and my daughter is incredible with him as well. But seeing him taking care of the little ones, oh my gosh! I don't know if you saw those photos.
I was very emotional about it. I was like, look at him.
He's almost 5'6" and he's 11.
He's
Yeah.
going to be, well, your husband's tall.
He is tall, but I didn't even recognize my own son. He's standing in front of our booth, and I went, and he goes, "Mommy, it's me." And I went, "Gabriel."
Right? I
He
know.
just grew 6 inches this year.
Oh my gosh.
So yes, he's, I talk to him now. I don't know if I've said this to you, and he now understands who Rock Boy is. He now gets the concept that Rock Boy is Gabriel. It's
Okay.
a picture of Gabriel. It looks, of course, like a cartoon character,
Right.
but it's a picture of him when he was 2.5, doing the rock sign. Okay. And I often say, Gabriel, so what does Rock Boy do? Why are you famous? He said, because I give hope, Mommy. I give hope to other families across the world. And I went, to think that he'd ever be able to articulate and understand
Right.
something like that is, my job is done, right? My job is done, and now it will continue, of course.
Right.
As we know, we can't stop. But just to be able to look at him and see his own personal growth, okay, our children out there, their growth, this is why I'm fueled.
Yeah.
That's what keeps me going. That's
Yeah.
what keeps me going. Because there's another family stuck in their home who don't have the finances to get OT like they can, and now they can go in different We Rock the Spectrums around the world. We're in 25 states now and 7 countries. Is that crazy?
So we got to go over, because we only got a couple of minutes left here, but we got to go over, if you haven't already Googled, you should Google where the closest We Rock is. But what's the website that they can go to where they can find all the information, plus which that there's some people watching who are like, well, I want to own a gym. So where do they go?
So they go to www.wrtsfranchise.com.
Okay,
Yeah.
WRTS, which stands for We Rock the Spectrum. It took me a couple of weeks to figure that out because I'm a little slow on the uptake. I was like, what is it again? It's WR something, and then somebody was like, just remember We Rock the Spectrum.
Exactly.
And I went,
Exactly.
oh, okay.
Oh.
Okay, So they can go there, they can see locations to find a gym near you.
They can. And what's great is each website of a We Rock the Spectrum has a locations page.
Okay.
So all the locations, I love it. They promote all the locations around the world.
That's
So you
so
can go on
wonderful.
any We Rock the Spectrum page, click locations. But how surreal is it to see, okay, international, and then international coming soon? Who would have thought?
That's crazy. But definitely check it out, you guys. It's a great place to go. And, you know, you can go there just to have fun.
Absolutely.
You can book a birthday party just to have fun. I've been to several birthday parties. It's where we hold, the flagship is where we hold our Sensitive Santa every year, which is
The best.
amazing. But the other things that you can do, I love when families take a therapist and go with them. So you can take your ABA therapist, you can take your OT, you could take your SLP, your speech and language pathologist if they'll go. They like to stay a little bit closer to home, but OTs go all the time.
OTs,
and
absolutely.
ABA therapists, happy
That's
to
the
go.
key.
You also have events where different gyms have different things, but you have events where parents can drop their kids off and go to a movie and go to date night.
Under the respite, the in-facility respite. What's incredible.
Which is fabulous, you guys, because you know that your kids are someplace where they're having a ball and they tire themselves out.
And they're not on their electronics,
Right? They tire, and it's social, and they tire themselves out. So you go to dinner and a movie, and then you come and pick up your kids, and they fall asleep in the car. So you could take them home, pour them into bed, and you have the rest of the night also
And they're
to
going to sleep
yourselves.
better because they're
That's-
not overstimulated from the electronics, which my
Exactly.
son loves them as well. But
Yeah.
that's what makes We Rock great. Again, like
Yeah.
you call it. I love how you say it. Getting their yayas out.
Getting their yayas out. Because,
love it.
listen, one of the women that right when we were having Gem, there was a woman that in our circle of friends, everybody had kids except for us, but this one woman, everybody talked about her in hushed tones because her boys were so well behaved. Like, no matter what, they were the polite kids who said hello, you know, and hello, Mrs. Penrod, how are you, and that kind of thing. They were just always well behaved, and everybody would always say, Renee, how are you doing that? And she would say, oh, I run them like dogs.
Yeah.
I make them swim, I make them exercise, they're in constant motion during the day. We don't have any time for anything else, but they're in constant motion. And so I always think about that and think, you know, kids, you know, we're asking kids now to sit still so much of the day. And they need to run their yayas out. And with the electronics, they don't get to do that. So take them to a re-rock. You can buy, you can come in just once. You can buy a membership so that you can come in as many times as you want during a month.
Brings it down to $8 per visit.
So that's crazy and really affordable. And it's a wonderful place to go. There's so many different things that you can do there, so definitely check it out. And
great.
each one has the same essential equipment, but each one is a little bit different.
It's unique.
And it has its own flavor because their owners have their own flavor and their own connection to autism. You have people who have kids on the autism spectrum. You have people who came from the background of working with kids on the autism spectrum. You have people who like all different kinds of things, including being on the spectrum now.
Which is, like I
It's
said,
the missing puzzle.
that's you get it. That's the missing puzzle piece. When I say my job is done, my job will never be done out there advocating for the world. But that's what I always longed for and wanted. So
There we go.
I'm excited to tell you about. I was excited to tell you about that today.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Proud
of us.
I have no right, but I am so proud of you. I'm proud of what you're doing. All right, I'm all verklempt. All right, we're past time. We've gone over time, and so Traven is going to get the hook and take me out if we don't stop.
All right.
But thank you for being
Thank
here.
you so much for having me.
And thank you guys for being patient while I wasn't here last week, but I'm here all this week, and we got a bunch of new shows. You're going to love this week. It's going to be fabulous. I will see you back here tomorrow. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.